This is Women in Music with Gfire podcast, episode number 54 with singer-songwriter Marya Stark.
Okay, great. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, Marya. Glad you can make it onto the podcast. I know there's 5 women in your group, right?
There are 5 of us. It's a whole journey to gather us all in the same place at the same time. So I'm glad that at least one of us could make it on today too.
Yeah, absolutely. Do y'all have a tour planned or anything, or have you been touring?
We're starting to put together some dates for Europe, which is awesome, and we haven't announced that yet, but we haven't been touring as a collective. One of our members, Chloe, just had a baby,
Oh,
and so she is in recovery, and so I think any time, and we all have individual realms of uh, performance and all of these things, and so we're not sure exactly yet if we're gonna properly tour as an ensemble. Right now, we're just excited to spend any time together that we can.
and so you did it all online? You did the project online?
We did a fair amount of the first 2 years online. When we decided to start to record, we recorded in person together, so we gathered for that. But we were meeting online for our creative writing process together.
And so I should probably start at the beginning of my podcast questions, but
Yeah.
anyway, it's Marya Stark and her band. The supergroup she's in is called Starling Arrow. And I'd like to ask you, where are you from originally, Marya?
I'm from Phoenix, Arizona originally, and I moved out to California after high school and seeking the muse, chasing song, and came out to Southern California for a while, and then ended up moving up to Northern California, which I live now, because I just was drawn up here by the Bay Area culture.
So you're in San Francisco?
I live about 2 hours west of San Francisco in a town called Grass Valley. Or sorry, not west, east.
East Valley.
Yeah.
And how did you start getting into music? Was it from a young age?
I was always into music. I had always just been completely enamored with art, and songs specifically just really held my attention as a child. I went to one of those performing arts high schools that was actually from grades 7 through 12. That was arts every day and music, and so it was a part of just what I loved so much, and then going to college to study vocal performance, and then just continued from there. So me personally, I've always been into music, but then really as I matured, became devoted to trying to figure out my own music as an artist and as a writer.
So when did you actually start writing songs?
I was a child, actually, when I started writing songs. I know that that's not true all the time, but I was really into composition right from the get-go, and I have songs that I wrote from the time I was a preteen, from middle school. I have every song I've ever written in chronological order from the time I was that age, and I have them all in notebooks. So it's really fun to get to hang out with myself as a 13-year-old, 12-year-old. I was like, oh, that's what I was feeling and thinking and experiencing of life at that time.
That's amazing. I mean, you're so organized.
I am one of, yeah, I love to be, organization really helps me to keep track of the art itself, or else it disappears. And so it's like I've had to find certain ways to hold on to it. It's very effervescent otherwise.
And then, so you started writing songs. When did you start performing, like professionally or doing shows?
Um, a little bit in high school at kind of some like talent shows or open mic nights, but then when I went to college as a 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, I think I had my first folk artist show where I played an hour and a half of my own music and invited people to come. So that was my very first show.
This is in California. You went to school.
This is my first show at the Ugly Mug in Orange in the Circle by Chapman University, which is where I went. I don't know if the Ugly Mug's still down there, but that's where I did my first show.
In Orange County?
In Orange, in the town of Orange,
There's a
Orange
town
County.
called Orange, okay.
There's a town called Orange in the heart of Orange County. And at the center of Orange, there's a place called the Circle. And at the Circle, there was the Ugly Mug. And they had a really great little venue in there. And there were shows and there were open mics. And there's a little folk music culture there that was part of the university culture.
So you went to Chapman, you said?
Yeah. Have you
I'm not
heard of
familiar
it?
with that school.
Chapman's one of these like little liberal arts colleges in California. It was really great. I went there because they had an incredible music conservatory that was developing at that point. So I went there to study music.
And did you study like classical or?
Yeah, I studied classical at first. I was studying vocal performance and classical guitar. But they had a music therapy program at the time there. And I got really into studying music therapy, which really was such a gift and then influence and really expanded the study of music beyond kind of like a classical style or lineage into a broader understanding of the what music can do as a medium for service and as a medium for culture building and community building and all of these other ways that music could become part of a life and so that was really powerful.
Did you get a degree in music therapy?
I did. I got a degree in music therapy and a board certified. I was certified. I was nationally certified and practiced as a music therapist for many years.
But you don't anymore.
Well, I'd say that I'll always be a music therapist. I just would say that the method and modality and community I serve has changed from working as a clinical music therapist to more that now just that understanding as a foundation for how I work as an artist in my community.
So you feel like you put out healing music, basically.
Well, it's interesting, like healing is, for me, it's different. Healing is different than therapy, or therapeutic modality. Like healing, it's kind of like recovering from something that's I don't know, not disease or something that's wrong, but like a therapy can be developmentally it's like a different kind of game, and it's I do think the music that I've released can have the influence for some people of having a healing experience, but I wouldn't say that that's what I do. I like to be in conversation around ideas that were influenced by music as a method for culture building, and I went to school for music therapy, which had us study all of these different ways of working with music for different kinds of people based on kind of some of their goals. And so some of the goals that people had weren't necessarily all based on disease or needing to heal. It was really just, a lot of the ideas were about connection and building deeper connection and having deeper meaning as a result. And then people might have experience of healing because of the meaning that the music was helping them come in contact with in their lives. And so I'd say that rather than, I feel connected to, I put out healing music, which is a beautiful idea, It's more like I love to be inside of my community with music, building a bridge and building meaning and facilitating conversations around meaning.
Let's talk about the song that you wrote, which is Fly Away.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Well, that song, speaking of meaning, right? We were together trying to make meaning out of our lives at that time. And, for those of you who don't know, Starling Arrow came together as a project with 4 other women, which are Ayla, Tina Malia, and Leah and Chloe of Rising Appalachia, and myself. And we were meeting every week during lockdown, during the peak of lockdown when all of our careers shut down and we didn't know what was happening on planet Earth. It was very bizarre. And so we started to come together to write songs together as a sanctuary, as a mastermind, as a support system for each other. And maybe the music was helping us deal with and cope with the complexity of the time. It was also helping us make meaning of what was going on. So this was in August, after a very hard summer in 2020. And we had been writing all about all these topics, kind of these maybe more toothy, kind of intense topics of conversation, because that's what the topics were in our social environment, online especially. And we got to a point where we were just like, we can't deal with the internet anymore. And so I remember Leah, she recommended, oh, why don't we write a song about something before the internet, like something old, like bones, something simple like bones. And so that's how the topic was decided. It was kind of almost in rebellion to how much static there was in the social fabric at that moment. So in rebellion to the static, we're like, we're going to go to something older and draw on something like bones. And so I wrote this song, Fly Away, drawing on some of the inspiration I'd been studying in the music at that time, which was thinking about songs that were bringing people together in a specific kind of way. And so this song, there's a dance number that gets repeated over and over. It's a ritual dance step. And so it's almost like the YMCA, only for like old witchy villagers. It's like the old witchy YMCA step dance. And I was really I love music that tells a story about what people are doing with their bodies, and it's kind of like this instructional experience, and that the song gives the instructions and then it's repeated over and over, which kind of creates this trance, and so that people can step into this trance of building an energy together through the dance. And the dance specifically is about drawing inspiration from the constellations, and so we're doing what they call like a constellation step pattern dance. And so it's as if we were mirroring the constellation as a way to draw energy from the beauty of the stars, from the story of the constellation itself, and then weaving it into the community through the dance.
Now, was this an already existing dance that you used or something you created?
This was a dance that got created as I wrote the song. It wasn't something that was specific or that I had learned before. It was kind of like something I had imagined before, because I had learned about these constellation star stepping dances, and I'd studied a little bit of a type of dance that is deeply woven with storytelling and kind of the deeper mythology. And so I was sort of combining these things I knew about into this possible idea of what it might be like to be living 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, and with my witches, and as if this dance had always been here.
Wow. Okay. With that, I'll say, let's let the listeners listen to Fly Away.
To the meadow, fly away, feathered, flight and fallen, storm and seas are calling, whispered night you'd stolen, fly away, wings on the wind of a borrowed song, take me to the temple wanting love under lilting petals drawn, ever in the dance dance a-dawning. Night and her maiden vessels open, arms to the red moon raining. Tales from the bone, garden of stone, scripts in the flames remaining. Stolen, fly away, fly away. Wings on the wind of a borrowed song, take me to the temple wanting love and her lilting petals drawn, ever in the dance a-dawning. Night and her maiden vessel open, arms to the red moon raining. Tales from the bone, garden of stone, scripts in the flames remaining. Stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the threads. Her tapestry held the shape of the prophecy. Cast your bones in the circle, step to the left, arm stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the threads. Her tapestry held the shape of the prophecy. Cast your bones in the circle, step to the left, arm stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the threads. Her tapestry held the shape of the prophecy. Cast your bones in the circle, step to the left, arm stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the threads. Her tapestry held the shape of the prophecy. Cast your bones in the circle, step to the left, arm stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the threads. Her tapestry held the shape of the prophecy. Cast your bones in the circle, step to the left, arm stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the threads. Her tapestry held the shape of the prophecy. Cast your bones in the circle, step to the left, arm stretched towards constellations, rain down with the memories weaving the fly away, fly away.
It's super gorgeous. I mean, the harmonies you five have. How did you meet all these other women?
Wow. Well, through the years, we all have different relationships with each other. And so I met Ayla over a decade ago, just through mutual connection. We were both starting to perform in the Bay Area at that time, and so we met shortly after I moved to the Bay Area. She had just graduated from school. I had just moved to the area, and so we met. Tina I had known from about her music for many years, and we had passed each other many times in community, but we had become friends earlier in the year in 2020, right before lockdown had happened. Actually, her and I were in Costa Rica together, teaching at a festival together, and starting to form a friendship. And then the ladies of Rising Appalachia, Leah and Chloe, I had also met them several years before. I had actually opened for them at a few different gigs in Santa Cruz, but we hadn't been like closely woven until, again, it sort of coalesced in this way. And I think, yeah, Ayla had her own relationships with Tina and the ladies, and Tina likewise. We all had our own kinds of relationships peripherally and also collaboratively, and knowing of each other and knowing, and having these moments. And then the coalescence that happened was really circumstantial because of COVID. And Tina and Leah had wanted to start writing songs together and kind of invoked me because they knew that I had facilitated different songwriting experiences. And I was like, oh, well, we should do a mastermind together. And then Chloe came in, and then Ayla came in through me, and then there we were, the five of us doing this thing.
That's wild. That really is. I mean, when you performed, when you opened for them, what type of venues are you playing? Do you play festivals? Do you play? You mentioned witches a few times, like Wiccan stuff, or
Well, we live in, like there's a lot of different kind of venues that we all play in. There's like a kind of this like musical festival music scene.
Okay.
That is that's a combination of what I'm going to call kind of sentient indie earth folk music. That's also, I mean, and we all kind of exist in different pockets of the festival music scene, with kind of very different styles. So that's one venue that we have crossed paths. And then a lot of the ladies, they have been really heavily on touring for over a decade, and maybe 2 decades if we're thinking about Tina's long career. And so all kinds of music venues and all kinds of festivals all over the world. It's hard to even just say which kind of music venue. There's like probably not a kind of music venue the ladies haven't played at some point, from very little, little pockets to yoga studios to like gorgeous venues all around.
Like Coachella or
Well,
Glastonbury?
not quite Coachella. I actually can't speak to Rising Appalachia if they've played Coachella or not. I don't think so. But some of the other more kind of what is it? I know that Rising Appalachia, they played a lot of like indie bluegrass music festivals and a lot of folk festivals.
Okay.
So wherever,
Like a Kerrville folk festival, that sort of thing?
possibly, I don't know
Oh, you don't
all.
know Kerrville? Kerrville's about an hour and a half from Austin, and they have a folk festival they've been doing for decades.
Oh, awesome! It's possible that the ladies have played there. Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
their
yeah. I
full
saw,
repertoire.
who did I see there? I think Lucinda Williams played there and stuff. I'm just trying to tap into your style, I guess. Where would people find you?
Yeah, where do people find this kind of music? Well, some people call there's like a yoga inspired and yoga influenced transformational folk music festival, which you might find more of like definitely Tina's music and sometimes me, and now a lot of Ayla, and Rising Appalachia plays in there as well. And then Rising Appalachia, they'll play in more some of the more traditional folk festival arenas, and everyone's playing in kind of like world music
Type
places.
of venues.
Yeah,
Okay. Just trying to get a feel for it.
sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about some career highlights? What are some of the highlights of your career so far? It sounds like you've been in it for at least 15 years, something, or
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting again, every single one of us as an individual has had some really incredible experiences to highlight, and I can only speak for myself. I mean, I've loved getting to play at the Boulder Theater, in Boulder, Colorado, and there have been just some incredible festival opportunities I've gotten to play at Eclipse, and I've gotten to be part of some really big stage productions with Kalia Scintilla and Evocation and these like bigger kind of theater troupe experiences, that have been highlights for me. And honestly, being part of Cradle and Starling Arrow has been such a highlight in a new way because of the path that we found each other has been extraordinary. And even though we're just at the very beginning of our performance experiences together, it's just starting to bubble up. I feel like the highlights are just starting to like unfold from my side. But in terms of career highlights, I think I'm a little bit different than where these other ladies are in terms of the things that I'm super lit up by right now in my career are in the video production that I'm making in some of the storytelling that I'm getting to do through music videos and through short film media. Those are really highlighting. Yeah, those are just highlights for me because the experience of making film is so powerful, and getting to go to some of my favorite areas in the world and make video there, like the Red Rocks, and um, that's lighting me up right now.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Did you direct all the videos for Starling Arrow?
I didn't direct any of the videos for Starling Arrow. We've
Okay.
been we've been working. There have been directors on in the crew. Um, Everyone's kind of taken on different roles. When we worked with an awesome video crew named Dan Hardigan, Hardigan Media, and his partner Vita, and we all collaborated and directed, kind of coalesced with the videos. I know that Chloe directed two of the music videos, one for her song, one for Tina's song. I kind of half directed the song for mine, and then Ayla directed Wild Sweet, which was the beautiful video for her song.
And have you any cautionary tales? Or has everything been sunshine and roses for the last however long?
Oh, cautionary tales about like collaborating or about.
Anything maybe you would guide, say, a younger person getting into the business, or
Oh,
stuff like that. If you have any, it's just kind of pass it along, like so,
isn't you know the my my experience of the industry now is so different than it was when I first started to make music. The industry's changed so much.
Okay,
A young person can do so much on their own now than what seemed harder 15, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, there was still this, we were still living in the like post VH1 MTV realm where you were like trying to get signed by a major label, And so when I was coming up, those were some of the weird rooms I was in LA,
I'm
and
sure.
none of them were fully aligned. And now I feel like people don't have to have that same. People can make their own path. People could do it back then too, but it didn't seem as inviting. But now everyone can make their own path. You can make your own music on. You can make videos on your iPhone. You can just do so much now. And I think that the main cautionary tale that I would have is don't let perfectionism get in the way of creative dreaming and making stuff like that, and don't get so haunted by the desire to be something that it takes the joy out of creating. There is so much, I think, missed opportunities for savoring the creative, joyful process because of some hope of where it might take me. As a younger person, it was less about really just getting to enjoy. Now I'm just reaching towards the joy with everything I've got. Like, how can I stay in the deliciousness of getting to do this as a life path? And people can, right? I don't think it. I think it's never been easier than now to be a creative. And people, there's a lie out there and say, oh, it's so hard, and it's harder to not do it. I can assure you, it's hard. If you have the creative fire in you, it's harder to not feed it, and it's never been easier to feed it. It's just the battle is with the static and the status quo.
Well, tell me about some of these locations you're going on for your videos now. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, well, we just filmed a video down in LA. I got to film in a rain room for the first time, and that was so amazing.
What's a rain room?
A rain room is a room that rains.
It actually rains. It's set
It
up
rains
so
inside.
it rains inside.
It rains inside, and so
Okay.
you can film like you can film like a rain video. So that is a location shot that I got to do recently, and I'm personally looking forward to going to Europe later this year and next year and do some filming out there. And I know that Starling Arrow is also excitedly moving in the direction of headed to Europe. Who knows what kind of filming we'll do out there? Hopefully something epic because it's so beautiful and there's so many enchanting lands out there. But me personally, I think if I had a bucket list place that I really want to do a film project, either with myself or the ladies of Starling Arrow, is in Iceland. I just really want to go film out there. It's so epic, and my secret dream is that I get to do that in the next 2 years.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen Bjork videos
Oh
where
yeah,
Iceland's in the background and it's just this amazing, immense landscape for as far as you can see.
yeah. It's very severe and stark and haunting out there, and so beautiful. And what I love about Bjork, I mean, she's going and filming right on the freaking volcano, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, who doesn't like Bjork? So, are you touring at all as a musician? Or you're mostly doing video right now.
I am performing a lot more than I have in a long time, and I'm doing a lot of filming, and I'm a lot of it's all three. I think like the big career move the big career undulating entity is producing albums, making beautiful videos, and then sharing these songs out in the world. And me personally, I feel like I'm hanging out in all three territories, and they're all kind of undulating in and out of each other very strongly right now. It feels really exciting.
So, I guess the best place to find out what you're doing would probably be your website, which
Yeah,
is
you will, and I recommend folks go to starlingarrow.com to check out
okay.
the website of all five of us ladies at the Cradle, and then you can find portals to each individual one of us through that area. And you can see all of the music videos that we all did together. We shot all five of our music videos together in Appalachia last summer. We actually just rented a house for a week and shot five music videos. Some of them right there, some of them out in around the land, some of them at some other secret spots. So all five of them we did in 1 week, and that was just such a powerful and impactful and productive time. And so all those videos you can check out on our website, and then you can come check out uh, our upcoming tour dates, which we'll be announcing in the next month or two. But the first tour date of note that Starling Arrow is doing is Catalyst, which is a festival that Rising Appalachia is putting on in their hometown,
Which is what?
July 15th and 16th in Asheville, North Carolina. And
Okay.
Starling Arrow will be performing at their wonderful festival called Catalyst in the middle of July. So we definitely invite you to come and check us out there. And then be on the lookout for our upcoming announcement for other shows that we're doing together.
That's fantastic. Are there any other stories you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, I think the last story that I would love to share, it's a good question. I mean, I think that we just released this album 2 months ago, and so it's still very fresh, kind of emergence for that project. And we're all just kind of excitedly watching where the songs go, and getting to be in relationship with the songs in a new way now that they're out in the world, and getting to see how that shapes us. I mean, I think the thing that's really interesting about Starling Arrow as a project is that we never planned to get together to make an album. We never planned on being a band. Like when we're thinking about, oh, like this body of work that came together, it really came from this place of just wanting to be together and make sense and meaning make through the art, and then writing songs for ourselves with no plan of ever sharing them with the world. And then after 2 years of doing that, then we decided, okay, well, we're going to harvest some of these songs with a deliberate intention and share that with our community. And now that this album is out and all this video has been made, and now that we're playing shows, it's almost like an accident. And I'd say I share that story because it's so unusual. We didn't plan on like, oh, we're gonna do this super group powerhouse girl thing. It's just kind of ripened that way as a response to what we needed and what we felt the community would celebrate with us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, everybody go to starlingarrow.com, check out all five women and all of their projects. And it's just beautiful music. And it's just really, like you said, it kind of has its roots in ancient times,
Hmm.
pre-social media and all that, just like really organic. You said in Appalachia, like West Virginia, Kentucky.
In North Carolina.
North Carolina. Oh, right. That's where they're from. Okay, great. Yeah, anything I haven't touched on right yet?
That's all. That sounds good. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and for welcoming me and us by proxy on your show.
Absolutely. It's been a delight. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye.